I was working in FP&A in an IT company.
So you can't expect something out of the box. Like I'm coming from the small cities.
If you have to prepare for your next interview,
Some like a traditional profile.
is there a story to it?
Advanced level you can learn during the job itself. Correct, correct.
Hi Rohit, how are you doing today?
I'm good. So how about you?
I'm doing fantastically well. Thank you for joining us for this conversation. This conversation and the book that we talked about, I'm sure it will help a lot of people who want to know more about FP&A and potentially help a lot of people also get into this role, which is, as you mentioned, a lot of people don't know about this role and are very curious to explore how does it look from the inside. So this is something that will help them a lot. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Asif, for inviting me to on this special podcast to give more insight about this FP&A. So thank you for this opportunity.
Before we move ahead and I start asking all of the survey questions that we have collected, if you could introduce yourself, what have you done? I mean, in terms of your qualification, what is your present role? How did you come arrive at your present role? What has been your journey so far? So that will help the listeners and the viewers get a lot of context about FP&A roles.
So by the qualification, I'm a first attempt chartered accountant and clear in November 20. So later, like I'm coming from the small city, so it's just a small town of Ajmer, Rajasthan. So in I have done my articleship in the mid-size CA firm itself. So it's like a really like people are coming from mid-size are always worried like how I can get into role in the big corporate. So that was the major chunk of the issue when I was getting into that role. So luckily I got that role, like finance role in the Infosys, but at that point of time I was not aware which role it is. So like
Mhm.
I was just know that yes, there are only few roles are in in the finance industry. It's taxation, auditing, and a few finance about this thing, but never got to know what is this FP&A. So when I join and someone say it's a business finance role, I was like, whoa, what is this? So that story is all about the starting of the career. So and later I join I work in the Infosys and I got to know yes, this is a really a good profile which I was not aware about this initial journey of my joining or struggling on job hunting. But later I come to know yes, this is a really great profile for especially for me. I'm not saying like these are maybe in individually they will be a different opinion. It's someone will be like or someone will not like, but from my point of view it's really great profile for me. So and that point of time I was working in a business finance role. I was handling one of the great service line there, and I was like wholly responsible for that unit to be in terms of budgeting, forecasting, supporting the businesses in terms of finance, and discussing with their margin plan how we can go ahead with the improvements. Basically in a sky level view, if I say if business wants something to cover up something or like want to understand the finance in more detail, so they come up with us only and we are just a supporter of the businesses how they can go ahead with the competitor and the market. They can stay in the market with the terms of high revenue, high margin. That is our main motto of this main motto of this role. Like want to give a more insight about the financials to the business leaders, so they can go into the market and they can catch more from the client or more high revenue deals, high margin deal. They can improve in bit internal itself if somewhere we are lacking into this thing. So that was the major role. And later I moved in the Bank of America. It's a FP&A profile again. It's and now it's point of the cost point of view role. So now I'm taking care of the cost. So that was the pretty much experience I have.
Got it. Got it. So you mentioned a couple of things. You are from Ajmer, Rajasthan, which actually I remember when I was doing CA, a lot of CAs were from Rajasthan. So there were so many of my batchmates who were from Rajasthan, and when I asked them, okay, and they told me Rajasthan is like one of the highest. It's like a factory for CAs. Is it still that
Yes.
or is it okay?
Yeah, is
I
it? Even if you see in my street, so like in every home there are once a year.
Wow, I mean that's so. I mean that is something which is very inspiring to see people from tier two, tier three cities come, and a lot of them are from Rajasthan. So is there something special there, or why do people pursue CA? Is there something? Is there a story to it which you want to share? Why do a lot of people pursue it from there?
So basically, if you see the Rajasthan is like Marwadi people. So Marwadi people like lot of interest in their businesses.
Mhm.
So every businessman want to see like they want like their child should be grow in the commercial field itself. So what is the best in the commercial, a commercial or commerce background? So it is only CA here.
So
Everyone is pushing out, every pushing like my child should be going to the CA at least for the one. Even they are not fully qualified, but they at least should try it in once in a life.
it's because of the business background of the I mean, place, and they want somebody who's an expert in numbers and business in their family.
Y- Yes, that is the main purpose.
You mentioned about you moving from CA firm to business finance and then to Bank of America. So how was that transition? What were the challenges that you faced while moving from a typical audit or an internship role into a very big company, which is FP&A? So what were the key challenges, if you could share those?
If as I mentioned, like I am coming from the small town, so a small town like always talking in the local languages. They don't have much about the professionalism. So when I joined Infosys, the main issue on the transition is like a presentation and articulation skills. So let's say in FP&A, you are aware that we need to present financial deck to the management, even if finance or business, whatever. But we need
Mhm.
to present something in the front. So I still remember when I was presenting for the very first time, I was like really nervous. What should I tell? What should from where I should I start? From like how to answer their question. I was like blank at point of the time. I prepared really like really nice PPT, but when I come to the presentation, it was like completely blank.
Got
I
it.
was like, what is happening?
I can relate. So you're not used to, when you're working in audit, you're not used to presenting the numbers to so senior people. Maybe if you're working in a CA firm, you might be presenting it in a group of two, three people to your partner or to your manager. But you don't do it in a way where there are 20 people in the room and then you have to go and stand and then present it,
C-
which is very different from what you do. So I can relate to that. So how did you manage to overcome that, or is it something that you feel is something that you still are working on it?
Yeah, it's true that CA firm like as I mentioned, like I'm coming from this small, so I have done the articulation in my city itself. So there was no such like a presentation and all the things. So it's like straightforward at 20-30% teams, and we are just discussing as a friend and like this thing. But to overcome that issue, so my senior suggested start discussing in a small group and start working with your friend and discussing more in English part.
Mhm.
So that will give you more confident about that. And later I have joined CMON, like one of the platform also to
Mhm.
discuss lot of things about in front of 100 person or in 20 people's. So that gave me a lot of confidence, and that helped me. That next presentation was the superb at that point of time.
It
So
is what you mentioned is making sure that you know what is your weakness and then making effort to overcome it. Like you mentioned, you joined one of the platforms and practice, and the next one did you
correct.
after the practice it was much better
Correct.
than.
And then every month it's like again and again presentation. Then it's like pretty much awareness. And whenever I was discussing with the business, so I having in mind that I going to present something in front of the business. So I set up that my psychology in that point of view that everything when I'm talking, it's just a presentation. So whether I'm feeling that feeling when I was actually presenting, or it's something is normal feeling that. So that's how I overcome that. But
Mhm.
basically issue, I can say it's a lacking presentation skills I have that point of time, and that it's sorted during the period of Infosys itself, and in Bank of America it's super bad that point of time. So
Awesome.
it's like a practicing again and again, then it will be overcome. It's not a one particular day you can just think about, and the next day you will be a great in that. So it's gradually it will increase based on the
Understood.
practice.
So, apart from the presentation skills, were there any skills that you think you had to particularly work upon when you moved from audit to FP&A? Presentation is one important skill, I agree, but were there any other skills that you had to learn or pick up while you moved?
Basically, one major skill I have learned when I was in auditing. So auditing is just that you have some financial statement and you are just complying some of the standards and laws and all. That's all. This is no audit. But in FP&A, I was major lacking at that point of time. Like I don't understand how the business is run, how the industry is running, because that is a major part of our working. So
Mhm.
if I'm not understanding the businesses, if I'm not understanding the service we are providing, so how I can present, or like how I can do this work in the FP&A. So that was the major issue. So basically, then I reading that contract, going into the website of Infosys, that how we are delivering the services, what client we have, and which type of services we are providing, and how it is impact our businesses, and how the global industry is working toward that. So basis on that understanding, continuously readings on the IT services and now in banking services. So basis on the understanding, then it will implementing on my work, give me a more understanding, and give a more interesting thing to got to know about this. Yes, what I have read outside, it is implementing in my work.
Understood. So,
And
understand.
even if I go into business discussion, I can put that reading into with this business, so I can get more information and insights on this part. So that was a major thing I have worked on that part.
If I have to summarize, you mentioned about compared to audit and FP&A, you need to be more closer to the business, understand the business very thoroughly. So for that, you need to do a lot of reading, you need to do a lot of preparation apart from your daily activities, which is reporting,
Correct.
uh, maybe presentation, etc. But you have to put a lot of effort, especially early on, to understand your industry, your business, and your company.
Yeah, so it's just example that if you are an IT company and you are just projecting that your growth will be next year will be 20% for this year. So it will not happen, because if you see that US is in a recession, coming in a recession, and there are fear of recession, they are
Mhm.
interest rate on a highest level. How you can pick that thing, or like a random 20%, if I'm say. So that reading will help you to cut down your major issues, or give you more understanding about the work. It's just an example, nothing lead with this 20%, 30% growth. It's
Yes,
just an
yes, yes.
example.
And it's, you're saying it is basically gauging some, based on your experience, you are able to understand all of these important KPIs or whatever uh,
Yes,
economic environment will impact your business. And then if you understand that, it will be easy for you to do your job as FP&A. Now,
correct.
another I think I found this interesting from your profile is you moved from a IT industry, which is Infosys, into banking, which is Bank of America. So, so two questions, and we can cover it one by one. How is IT FP&A? How is working in FP&A in an IT company, in a big IT company, different from working in FP&A in a big bank? So that is one. And did this change in industry also require you to do some preparation, or was it less challenging compared to the first one, which was your audit role to your FP&A first role?
So let me take the first question. So basically, Infosys, if you see any IT company, so IT company much focus on their revenue, like
Mhm.
how their revenue is moving, how their contract is signed, how their KPIs is moving, how their utilization is going. So they were
Mhm.
more focusing on their headcount and their revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point in time, I learned that thing. So that is a sufficient. And now in banking revenue, if you see, it's remained fixed. So there is fees, and I'm getting it. It's
Mm-hmm.
fine. So now banking focus more on the costing side, how
Mm-hmm.
their exact each and every item of the P&L works in different countries and different things. So they are much focusing on their cost and technologies, and an IT company basically focus on their revenue. So once I learned the revenue, I'm keen to understand how the cost FP&As work.
Mm-hmm.
So that move the transition. And if I tell you that the understanding wise, yes, there is a big gap. Like IT work in a different manner, banking works in a different manner, especially a global bank. Because in IT Indian company, there will be a few person who will be handling this FP&A role, like almost 50, 60 people. But in global bank, it will be more than 600, 700 people who are managing their entire. It's just a random number, if I say.
Yes, I
So
understand. It's much bigger.
bigger, it
So,
may be bigger, it might be higher than that thing. So it's just saying it's in terms of headcounts people are doing. So you will be having a specific role of that thing. So you will be having a specific line, you will be focusing much on that thing. So that is a major thing I have learned. In the second term of question, which was the more transition issue. So that first, if I say audit to in FP&A, which was most difficult part, because role will be same, because whatever I'm doing in Infosys, the basic will be remain same, but the
mhm,
thing is that line item will be different. Earlier, it was a revenue, now it's a cost, but everything is remains same. Your forecast, your reporting, monthly pack, DAC, everything remains same. Your presentation. But the
mhm.
thing is that earlier, and as a fresher, you don't have an understanding how it's going to be. But now, once I have reached at that stage, so I am pretty much clear what the work will be there.
Got it.
So
So,
that was
so
amazing.
the functions are more or less the same in both industries. So budgeting,
Yes.
but it's only the difference in the area that you look at. So you were looking maybe at a different area in the other company, and here you might be looking at a different expense or a different revenue business.
Yes.
Got it.
So that is the main thing.
Now, a lot of people feel when they are starting, they feel uh, Excel and tools like Power BI, they are very important for, I mean, getting into FP&A. How do you feel about that? So, do you think Excel and Power BI are very important skills that people should learn before joining FP&A, or it's something they can learn on the job? How has been your experience?
Basically, if I tell you the tools, so Excel is the must, because if you see FP&A budgeting and all, there is a less tools that company use for the forecasting. Everything will be on the Excel. So you must be seeing a very complicated formula. It will be picking from the multiple sheets. So if you are not much familiar with the Excel, you will get like lost in that Excel itself, like how its number coming. If you put any input randomly, that entire sheet will get reflect changes. So that is the first thing, that Excel will be the must. You should be a sufficient knowledge of the Excel. It's not like am saying it will be a proficient, but sufficient. You need to understand that you can apply the various formula. You can understand the formula how it is working. If you can understand the flow of the Excels, it is really fine. If that is the fine, then advanced level you can learn during the job itself. But you should understand the basic concept of the Excel, how it is work, the how the formula is flowing, how you can manage that big Excel. Because in articleship, we don't have that much big Excels. That is a simple Excel. But in big companies, there will the multiple Excels, there will multiple automations in the Excel itself. If you change this thing, you entire things will be going into thing. And now coming to the emerging tool, yes, these are the really good software which are using in the FP&A roles. If I tell you that Power BI, Tableau, Alteryx, and there are many other software which are using by the many industries. If you are not aware, that will be if I don't say it's a disadvantage, but other people will be having an edge to you if they are aware. So if I say now people want to move the PPTs from the Power BI and the other software, they don't want to prepare the similar PPT every day. So Power BI is just that you need to apply the filter, you can see the all the charts, and that you can present with the management.
Got it. Understood.
S-
Excel is, I mean, basic and intermediate Excel is a must, which is being able to navigate through large Excel files. So usually you will see Excel file that will have 50 different sheets or 100 different sheets, which is very common. So being able to understand formulas inside how they are linked to each other, how different sheets are interrelated is probably the more important thing. And then Power BI is more of a good to have, which will give you an edge over the other candidates, because it is something definitely will which companies, or which will help you in your role at some point in time.
Yeah, every company like want automation, so they don't want like doing a manual thing again and again. If something software can do in by this one just a click,
Correct.
so that is the main point.
Now, if I have to ask you, did you acquire any training or any certification once you got into FP&A role? Is there any course that has helped you a lot in your last 2 or 3 years? Uh, just in case if there is, we would love to know, and if you can share that.
Basically, to be honest, I have not done anything like a certification course. Even if I tell you how, other courses will help you. So, if you feel that if you have a lack of communication, lack of presentation, or lack of Excel skills, and other emerging tool that you are not familiar, but other people are familiar, so you can take that certification, and that will play a major role in your professionalism. So there is a new tool like a Power BI itself. So you are not aware when you join that organization. So you can take that classes or you can take YouTube classes. There are multiple sources of getting that information. So you will be getting some basic idea how it is work. So once you get the basic information, and then if you can do that scroll downing and something like internally, so you get to know a lot of thing out of that. So that is the
And
main thing.
if you encounter any tool or any new technology in your, it can be programming language or it can be a tool, if you don't know how to use it, then definitely that course or that particular online videos or series of YouTube videos will be definitely be helpful. But there is no need for any particular certification. Your certification as a CA is more than enough, is what I understand.
Yes, that is true.
Now, if I have to move to the next section, so if somebody wants to join FP&A, and if you have to tell that person, okay, this is how you should approach your role in the first few days, because first 1 month or first 2 months are the period where you feel a little lost, and because you are coming from a different compliance mindset, you feel you are in a different world altogether. So how should people approach their first 1 month, 2 months, which is the most difficult period when they come into FP&A?
So it's like my personal own experiences on that part. So as I mentioned, when we were a fresher, so we just aware about that. We have a tax profile, we have an accounting profile, we have a investment banking, some like a traditional profile. We were aware about that thing. So when I joined Infosys, people were telling it's a business finance role. I was like, what is this? Even what is a business finance role? What I need to do here? Should I need to do accounting for the businesses? Should I need to do provide a taxation? Should I need to provide a consultancy to the businesses? So no, 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 you don't need to do anything. Nothing is the taxation, nothing is the accounting, nothing is your compliances. Like what else I need to do? Because I have just got to know from my articles, I need to provide these things only at the CA. At that point of time, giving some Excel, you need to input this data. Like lot of Excel was coming in. I just had a basic training. You need to understand this thing. You need to put the data here. Just copy pasting things sometime. I was lost. Like I'm not like a like getting understand what is this role, and maybe I am not in the right place or right and role. Rather, I can say
Mhm.
I was like pretty much confused. And sometime I think, let's just wait for the 6 month at least to understand entire profile. Is that so I have waited for 6 months, like what exact? Because as a fresher, as a new person from the different to new, it will take some time to give a cream work, because initially they will give some basic work to get to know, yes, what is the role it is.
Mhm.
So at that time, if my expectation was too high at that point, so maybe I leave that organization and maybe I join audit profile, something like a taxation or something else. I waited for this thing, and once I get a full understanding of my profile and I get the full responsibility what my senior were doing at that point of time, then I was like, yeah, this is a good profile for me. Getting a more discussion with the business, I am getting a more understanding about businesses, and there are few more area where I'm working really fine. So that was the main thing, that even if people are feeling that from 1 month or 30 months or 30 days or 90 days, they should wait for at least a clear picture should be coming to play the role. It's not you need to take a decision within the 1 month or 2 month. At least you should give sufficient time to understand the profile, whether if someone is like within the 30 days 60 days, you will be in a transition role, like people are giving some transition or a knowledge transfer to you, so you can't expect something out of the box within the 30 60 days.
Got it. So what I hear from you is when especially you are new in FP&A, first time working in FP&A, a lot of data crunching work will be given to you because that's a role. I mean, that's a work who typically in any, if you see in any profile, forget about FP&A, in any other profile, if you go, the most I mean the tedious job of putting together data is done by somebody who's junior, and which is same in FP&A. So when you go to a new FP&A role, you will be doing a lot of data crunching, or the what you mentioned was copy paste, and you feel like you're only doing copy paste for last 1 month, and you're not doing anything value adding. But that is the first thing that you need to learn, and then you learn new things in the next 2 3 months. So I can completely relate to that. And also, yes, I agree that you should at least give 6 months to any role. And after that, if you feel this is not something that I am enjoying, then definitely you should not wait also for longer. But 6 months is something which I agree we should at least, if you've given the interview, if you've taken that process to pain to apply for the role, at least you should give that 4 to 6 months.
Basically, when you read the job description of any companies, and you are interested on that point of your time, so why you need to be hurry on within the 6 months? So if
Right.
something is written in job description, it will be come in later point of time, but it will come.
Right. So at least you should give 3 to 4 months, and by the fourth month, you will start to see the clearer picture, and then you can decide what you want to do after 6 months. Just in case if you felt that okay, this role is something not in what I had expected, and that also happens sometimes because a lot of companies also advertises the FP&A role as a very I mean not to take names, but there are some companies who do that. They advertise the role as a very fancy role, and it's a very strategic role, but then actually what it turns out to be, it's a data crunching role, which can also happen in some cases, but then you have to give that 3 to 4 to 6 months to be able to judge and then take that decision. And most cases you will understand okay, this is just the beginning part, and you it was given to you for some reason, and then you will get more quality roles and more quality work as you become more and more senior.
Yeah, so just like if I am telling with my experience that I'm getting a lot of question on the LinkedIn that uh, I get an impress that this role is particularly strategy. We will be discussing a lot about the management. We will be giving a lot of input. Yes, it will, but it will be having a stages of the level. It will be after 1 year and after 2 year you will be part of that role, and it maybe it will be on at manager level you will be part of that discussion. But people were thinking that joining a they need will be getting the experience with this kind of the role. So this is a one myth I am getting that of understand from the LinkedIn people, that someone is like telling this kind of thing like FPN is really good and blah 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 blah, like in a very fancy manner.
Yes, yes. I think that also happens because they are looking at different levels. So see if somebody is talking to somebody working in FP&A for 15 years, that person will definitely tell them a different story because that person may not even remember what happened in the first 1 or 2 years like me.
Correct, correct.
Talk about all good things which happened after a certain point in time. So that is something people need to understand. Okay, now let's move to the interview part. So if somebody is preparing for FP&A interview, let's forget about somebody else. If you have to prepare for your next interview, FP&A interview, and by the way, not preparing for it, we're just asking you this question. What would be your approach? How would say if you have to apply for a if you applied for a role and if you have an interview next week, what things that you will do in the next one week to be able to be prepared for that interview?
So if I have an interview, first thing I will read the job description carefully. Like it's just a steps I will following in every interview. So first thing I will read the job description properly, what they want from us, whether it's which area they want from us, whether it's a revenue or any of the cost. Because what I have experienced that if we read job description carefully, so
Mhm.
major question will be coming from that only. And if we are really experienced about that, we can deliver that answers. So
Mhm.
first thing, I will go with the job description. Second thing, I will be connecting with the people who are in a working in a similar role of that company through the LinkedIn. So
Okay.
let's say if I'm in an interview in a Bank of America, so I will
Mhm.
connect with the Bank of America people, understand how their role is working and what are the major area they are looking and what study I need to do. Whether particular Ind AS, if I say IFRS, I need to pick it up. So
Mhm.
that is the second thing I'm following. Third thing, I will research about the industry. So I will research about how the that industry is working, about the banking. If I say banking industry, how it is working, how the financial is flowing, how their major cost is that, and how it is impacting there. If we want to correcting the thing, how their KPIs, what are the KPIs of that any industries, and what are the company's KPIs. So that will get to know from the annual report. Annual report is too big for, I'm not saying you need to read entire 300 400 pages, but you can go with your summary page of the company. You can go with a commentary on the industry. You can go with the management commentary. Then the financial statement you can directly go. That is what I am doing for uh, the interview. And the next part, I will read about the whatever the area they are going. So there may be a accounting standard for that, because FP&A is not just about the forecasting every time. Sometimes we need to see what is actually booking in the system. If we are
So,
allotted any cost area, so firstly we need to understand what accounting standard we apply, and we should having a sufficient knowledge on that part also. So let's say someone is giving a revenue. I am not aware about the Ind AS 115 and IFRS 15. Then what's the point of the giving an interview at that point? Because people will be knowing and asking the question about the finance or revenue part, how the revenue is booking, what are the logics, if contract is changed, what you will do, what the something is putting into things, what the forecast is changed. So if you are not aware about the particular standard of the accounting, then interview will be on a different shape.
got it.
So these are the major thing I'm covering. Then the rest of your presentation skills also and articulation skills.
Understood. So first thing you mentioned was reading the job description carefully, then reaching out to people who have been in similar company or same company in the similar role. Then what you mentioned was reading about industry, company financial statement, and then also focusing on the particular area which you are going to be working or which the job description talks about. So that's a very logical and a methodical way to approach. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now, if I have to ask you about your experience giving the interviews, so how was your experience? Maybe if you can share your experience with one of your roles that you have worked in, or any of the other roles which you did not eventually get in or you did not opt to. It can be a good experience, bad experience, but people will definitely learn something from it.
So when I was like I was switching from Infosys to the another company, that point of time I was searching for a lot of jobs, or like I was applying to a number of companies. I was getting interviewed also. So
Mhm.
there are few IT companies I was interviewed. So they were much focusing on their business itself. So how this business work, how that revenue play into the picture, and if someone is, they will be like more study-based questions. So let's say management is saying something, and you having a data of this thing. So how you can correlate it? So one of the example, if I say, so it's like you are the CFO of the company. The company is having a cash crunch or negative margins and the
Mhm.
financials. So as a
Mhm.
CFO, how you will, as a FP&A head, how you will articulate or how you can understand that financials, and how you can make a improvement plan for this thing. So you have to be more understand like exactly what is the industry is about. Because if you are not aware that industry, you cannot prepare any plan for that.
Comes
That is
back
the main
to
thing. And if I tell you about the bad thing, yeah, there are some interview also which went not well. Because
Mhm.
of that, I don't have that time to read all these things. So they were directly asking something out of the like, what is this company? Like, tell me about the financials of the company. What is my major source of revenue from which country? I have not read anything on that part.
Got it. Okay. So what I take away is one that they usually ask sometimes very specific questions, which are case studies for their particular companies, which you talked about as an example for the uh, cash crisis and preparing a plan. And then they also want to understand how much you've researched about that particular company. So if you've done a lot of research and homework, then but you may not be able to answer it exactly, but at least you will be able to give some answer based on whatever. So they'll know, okay, this person has spent time on researching the company. Okay, I
Yes.
think we are on time. Before we go, one last question I usually ask people is there any particular FP&A tool that you use in your organization, and how has been your experience with that tool?
Basically, we are just using Excel only, so nothing on
Mm.
that part. But other the presentation skills tools we are using. So that was like on only on the presentation and automation part. So nothing related to FP&A. Is just like automation of everything, doing the manual work instead of the doing manual work that can be done by the system itself.
Got it. So using Excel, but making sure that you automate all the things, manual things that you are doing in Excel, but automating it using some sort of a macro or some sort of I mean, some type of workflow you build so that it gets repeated and then automated. So thank you
Correct.
so much for joining us, Rohit, today, and this was very helpful. I'm sure a lot of a lot of things that I got to understand from you will go into the book. So a couple of things were new also, which I did not understand from other people that I interviewed. So thank you so much, and we'll be definitely be connected. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Asif, for this opportunity. I will be like exciting to read this your read about your book. So best of luck for the new book.
Thank you so much.